Thank you, Jesus. I thank you, Jesus. I thank you, Jesus. I thank you, Lord.
So the theme for this year, Our History is Your History, really is synonymous with bridging the gap. You know, when we think of the history of our combined history, the history of Nova Scotia, the history of the African Nova Scotia community, what can we do to bridge that gap? So there's lots of great images, and they each tell their own story. And when we look at the history that is told by these images, and we look at the many stories that are here in the Black Cultural Center, we realize that they're not just a snapshot in time. They're constantly evolving. The history that we have of African Nova Scotians is a history that's continually growing. An interesting one on the poster was the Congress of Black Women. That's the very first meeting of the Congress of Black Women that took place of the African United Baptist Association. And the church was a pillar of strength, a pillar of leadership, education, development, and understanding for our community. And the photo not only is a remarkable photo and a great snapshot of time, but the fact that it was taken at the Round Church in Halifax, that really shows that, you know, African Nova Scotians were integrated into regular society. When you think of the role of women in the African Nova Scotia community, you know, pillar of strength, this image really showcases that.
You've heard of Spring Hill's big producer. Her history is a crimson hue. But the biggest tale the old miners tell is the curse on old number 2.
Maurice Reddick, the singing miner from Spring Hill, Nova Scotia, and the remarkable story that his image tells. The fact that, you know, at a time when those type of industries were so important in the province of Nova Scotia, African Nova Scotians took part in those industries and that helped build the economy in this province. And during the Spring Hill mine disaster that happened, you know, Maurice is credited for keeping the spirits of the men that were trapped underground for many days alive by his singing, and so he's noted for that.
Number 2.
Another image that really comes to mind that really is striking is the one of Citadel Hill and the aerial shot of Citadel Hill and the contribution of the Jamaican Maroons and what they've done in the construction of Citadel Hill. You know, the Jamaican Maroons were a group of freedom fighters that came to Nova Scotia as basically the second largest migration of blacks into this province next to the black loyalists, and they did some remarkable work, and they did some skilled work in stone and masonry work that they did on Citadel Hill and prominent buildings like Government House. Around Metro Halifax, it's you know, very much all around, mainly the older parts of the city, places like, you know, downtown Halifax, downtown Dartmouth, but in the community proper itself, in the rural communities like East Preston, you can see a lot of that. And that uniqueness is now part of what we call Nova Scotia's heritage and Nova Scotia's culture. And I think it really is a strong testament to this year's theme, Our History is Your History. The relevance of the panels that we see on the poster, and you see the, you know, the various panels that cover the various parts of the province, I think that the relevance of those is that it gives us a look at what our history was, but it also shows us that our history is still developing. We realize that they're not just a snapshot in time. They're constantly evolving. The history that we have of African Nova Scotians is a history that's continually growing.